Hi, my name is Tarek Gasmir from NH Consulting, and welcome to our video series on our integrated seat to sale within NetSuite. In this video, we'll be taking you through the procurement process. We'll be looking at certain records like the vendor record, a small section on the items record, and then the full procurement cycle. So the purchase order, the item receipt, the vendor bill, and then the payment. I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to see this specific module or our NHC seat to sale in its entirety, we offer you a free evaluation as well as a free demonstration for your business. All you need to do is contact us either by phone or by email. All right, so let's jump into it. So first of all, I'm going to navigate to my vendor record, form and seeds. Here we have form and seeds. You're going to have some primary information, very similar to the other relationship records. You may choose to add a company logo if you wish. If we navigate a little bit lower here, you're going to have a financials tab. I chose to keep some of the information that I find relevant to me. So you can have information like the primary currency that you deal with, if there are terms to the payment like a net 30, as well as if there's a credit limit that's been set by the vendor. By default, I have my payables account set so that if I go through the procurement process, all the records are updated automatically. And the system does indicate us that we have a balance right now of 2050 with this specific vendor. Right now, we only deal in US dollar for this specific vendor, but if you had multiple currencies that you dealt with, you could add it right here. This obviously goes for customers as well. You also have a transactions tab available to you here so that you can look at all the POs, the bills, that you have with this specific vendor. What I find personally useful as well is the items tab. So if you have certain items that you purchase directly from this vendor and this vendor alone, you can add them here. And in this specific procurement exercise, we're going to go through the process of purchasing yellow corn seed. You also have a relationships tab that is available to you. Again, this is not unique only to the vendor record. You have this with the customer records, the leads, and so on. And here you can have a high-level hierarchy of the actual organization, and you can have a visual of any data point that you think is useful to your organization. Here, I just kept it pretty simple. So the job title, the phone number, the email, and so on. So from here, I'm going to scroll up and click on this little plus button to create a purchase order directly from this vendor record. The reason I do this is just because the data is going to be transferred over. It's going to be much easier. It's going to streamline the process for me. So wonderful. So information like the vendor, the subsidiary, as well as the currency has been transferred over. Here you're going to notice a field for nursery batch. We're going to be looking at our NHC batches in another video, but essentially what we're doing here is that we're connecting the purchase order to our nursery batch for tracking purposes. The NHC seat to sale is fully integrated inside of NetSuite, so whatever data point that you want to see during the transformation cycle of your process is available to you. In this case, the nursery batch is the first step of the transformation process of your product. In this case, I've decided to add a nursery batch field to the purchase order so that we can connect them together and see exactly where we're getting our seeds from. I'll go ahead and connect it to one of our nursery batches in which I will track the transformation of this specific product. And down here under the items tab, you can choose the product that you'll be purchasing from your vendor. In my case, I'll be purchasing yellow corn seed. And a wonderful thing about NetSuite and our integrated seed to sale is that you can buy a product in one unit of measure, you can plant it in another, and then you can harvest it in a third unit of measure. In this case, the base unit is in pounds, but let's go with bags. And I set it up within the system that a bag is roughly equivalent to 50 pounds. So the rate is calculated automatically for me. Let's say that we want 10 bags. The amount is going to update automatically to $17.48 and 46 cents. You're going to see it in the summary as well up top on the header level. And the last step before saving the purchase order is the inventory details. So we need to tell the system where we're receiving it. We're going to choose a location. I want to receive it at the warehouse. And I'm going to click on the inventory detail to assign a new lot for it. Let's go with YCS-LOT001. You have the option as well of receiving your product in different lots. So if I wanted to receive 5 in one lot and 5 in another, totally possible. In this case, we're just going to receive all 10 of them in the same lot. Wonderful. So our purchase order is complete here. I just want to remind you, this is not a transactional record. This is more of a platform where you can actually track the transactional records like the item receipt, the vendor bill, the payments, and so on. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this record. Perfect. So up top here, you're going to notice a pending receipt. status update for our purchase order. Again, as we go through the steps of the procurement, the purchase order is going to update in status. So let's click on this receive button to generate the item receipt record. Wonderful. So again, a lot of the information has been transferred over to the item receipt record. Here you can double check that everything looks good. The inventory detail is as it should be. So this is what we had assigned during the purchase order. Perfect. You can do some changes if you need to at this point as well. So everything looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and tell the system that I have received the items. So perfect. Our item receipt record has been saved. We have a GL impact tab that we did not see before. Let's go and click on it. And here you can see the accounts that have been impacted, since again, this is a transactional record. Again, NetSuite makes it incredibly easy to go from one natural step to the next. Here on my item receipt record, I have a bill if I want to go ahead and create a vendor bill record. But since our purchase order acts as a hub, the next natural step will also be here. So I can click on bill and generate the vendor bill record from the purchase order. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect. Again, all the relevant information is transferred over, the amount, the posting period, date, all of the good stuff. And everything looks good to me here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save the record. Wonderful. So our vendor bill record is created here. You're going to have a status on if it's been paid or not. At the moment it's open, so we need to make a payment. Let's click on the make payment button. It's gonna generate a payment record, and at this point you're telling the system what exactly you are paying to this vendor. You're gonna notice here there are two bills, the amount of $1748.46 that we generated right now, and another one for $2,050 that I had generated in the past but I never paid. I'm gonna pay them all right now. I'm gonna mark all and save. Perfect. So a bill payment record has been generated with the total amount of $3798.46, which included those two bills. And I'm going to navigate back to my purchase order to look at the status updates on my transactional records. And I've navigated back onto my original purchase order. You can see that now it is fully billed. And I notice here that my bill is completely paid, which completes our procurement cycle. So one last thing I'd like to look at is some relevant information on the items record. So I'm going to navigate down on my vendor record to items. And again, I've set the yellow corn seed as a preferred item for this vendor. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Again, you'll notice some familiar information, such as the primary stock unit or purchase unit. Again, we didn't purchase our product in pounds, but it is my preferred way of purchase. In this case, we can always switch it up, which is what we did, and purchase it in bags. And I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my related records tab here. A lot of these other tabs we'll be visiting at a later date, but for the time being, I'd like to look at two tabs. So the related records and the purchasing/inventory tab. On the related records tab on the item, you'll see every record that is connected to this specific item, whether it is a work order, an assembly build, a vendor bill, it'll be here. And without question, you will have a hyperlink to jump from this record straight to the next one. And under purchasing and inventory, you'll have some very, very valuable information like the total value that you have on hand across all your locations. You also have the average cost of the product based on the primary unit that you set to this item, in this case, pounds, and the purchase price as well. So in this case, we purchased it at $3.50 per pound. If we scroll down a bit, we have information here based on locations. So I kept some of the information that I deem valuable to me. In this case, as an example, we have information like the value that we have per location of this specific item. You'll notice I have $101.05 of value of this item on field 1 and a total of $2,000.55 and 96 cents. At my warehouse before the purchase order that we just did, I had a lot less. Obviously, it went up in value. You have information like the average cost per location, the quantity available. Also, if you had quantities that were back ordered, or if you had quantities in transit moving from one of your locations onto the next. Wonderful. So that concludes our video for today. We looked at the procurement process at a high level. There are certain things that we didn't have the time to look at, like the PO approval workflows for purchase authorization by approvers, or integrations if you want to connect, let's say, NetSuite to a bill payment system like bill.com, the procurement reports and the analytics, reorder points when your inventory levels are low and automatically triggers a purchase order, or the AP aging report detailing unpaid vendor bills by due date. If there are any of these sections that you'd like to see, or our fully integrated NHC seat to sale within NetSuite, please contact us by phone or by email. We'd be happy to show what we can do for your organization. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.